watching Eye on Africa here and live from Paris on France 24. I'm Shona Bhattacharya. Here are our top stories in this edition. He's back. After a 2-year absence, the DRC's biggest opposition leader has returned to Kinshasa. Etienne Tshisekedi got a hero's welcome as the country's political situation is expected to worsen in the next few months. South Africa's Constitutional Court confirms that President Jacob Zuma must pay back $500,000 in the next 45 days. Meanwhile, yet another candidate for next week's municipal elections has been killed. We'll be getting more from our correspondent in Cape Town. And going for the gold, meet the young Senegalese female wrestler who's hoping to make her country proud as the Olympic Games begin next week in Rio. A hero's welcome. Etienne Tshisekedi returned to the Democratic Republic of Congo this Wednesday. Tens of thousands of supporters greeted him at his arrival at Kinshasa's airport. The 86-year-old opposition figure had spent 2 years abroad for medical treatment. His homecoming coincides with the opening of a national dialogue held by President Joseph Kabila. This story from our correspondents in Kinshasa.
Returning home after 2 years of absence, Etienne Tshisekedi was given a hero's welcome as he arrived in Kinshasa this afternoon.
We all know who this man is. You've seen the people's reaction. It shows that things have already begun to change. We're powerless without him.
His return is showing the world that he was the one who won the election. Nobody has ever been welcomed like this in our country.
Thousands of Kinshasans gathered around the airport in the early hours, hoping to catch a glimpse of the veteran politician. Police had to step in as the crowd got rowdy, yet for members of the opposition, this massive show of support is sending a strong message to Joseph Kabila's government.
Tshisekedi's return represents the start of Mr. Kabila's departure.
He may have the support of the opposition, but Tshisekedi still has work to do. His next task will be to find common ground with Joseph Kabila's government to help the DRC hold fair and peaceful elections.
The capital, Kinshasa, this weekend will be under strict surveillance. Friday, supporters of the ruling majority are set to take to the streets. And 2 days later, on Sunday, Etienne Tshisekedi is slated to speak at an opposition rally. In preparations for the elections in our DRC that are scheduled to take place later this year, one opposition leader will not be on the ballot. Last month, Moise Katumbi was sentenced to 3 years in prison over a real estate dispute, making him ineligible to stand for the election. Now, the president of the court that sentenced Katumbi says she was under pressure from DRC authorities who wish to remove Katumbi, President Kabila's biggest opponent. Congolese authorities deny the claim. Confirming his fine, South African President Jacob Zuma has 45 days to reimburse $500,000 of public money. The decision was confirmed by South Africa's Constitutional Court, backing up the amount drawn up by the Treasury last month. Zuma was found guilty of making non-security upgrades to his home and billing the government. In other news, as the country prepares for municipal elections next week, an ANC councillor candidate was shot and killed on Tuesday in Port Elizabeth. Speaking to us live now is Aisha Ismail. Aisha, how many of these candidates have been targeted during the campaign?
Well, so far in recent months, at least 12 ANC candidate ward councillors have been killed. And we've seen this political killings happening very often in the run-up to the local government elections. And also recently, there were 2 Inkatha Freedom Party councillors killed. And of course, they, in that case, in KwaZulu-Natal, they blamed the ANC for that. But so far, there have been absolutely no arrests. And it would appear as if the ANC councillors are being targeted. And as I said earlier, at least 12 ANC ward councillors killed so far.
Now, why would those ANC candidates be targeted more than those from other parties?
Interesting question. And the Minister of Police has set up a task team to investigate this very matter. He's investigating the spate of political killings to the run-up to the local government elections on the 3rd of August. And one of the things that this task team has been tasked with to look at is to see whether the political killings are not perhaps linked to internal divisions in the ruling ANC.
Aisha Ismail, thank you so much for joining us live there from Cape Town. A mall destroyed, businesses flattened to the ground. A tornado ripped through parts of South Africa earlier this week, including here in Tembisa, a township just outside Johannesburg. Rescue workers discovered 3 people were lightly injured. There were no fatalities. Several hundred people, though, have been left homeless. Tornadoes are not unusual in South Africa, especially in the spring and summer months. All aboard for a railway revival. Nigeria inaugurated its first high-speed train line linking the capital Abuja to Kaduna, 185 kilometers to the north. The country had a thriving railway network until the 1980s, when drastic cuts and aging infrastructure left tracks and trains in disrepair. Our team was granted exclusive access on board Nigeria's newest locomotive.
The journey between Kaduna and Abuja has just become much smoother. When the train operator announced free journeys for test runs, hundreds of people took up the offer. For these passengers, the comfort of Nigeria's brand new train is a far cry from the country's notoriously dangerous roads.
The train is a welcome development to Nigeria, and the north in particular is a great achievement for us. And flying the train is safer and much easier and more friendly than the roads.
At the inauguration ceremony at Abuja's main train station, Nigerian and Chinese flags flew side by side. Almost all of the infrastructure and technology used in building the new railway have been imported from China.
Through the China Exim Bank, we're able to raise funds to be able to construct the infrastructure. The essence is just to have these infrastructures put in place. Over time, the Nigerian government will pay back. The plan is, can this infrastructure pay back? If it's not possible that it can pay all, then the government can come in at any point in time and make sure that we meet up with our commitments.
Most of the workers hired by the Chinese construction firm for the project are Nigerian. Many of them have received training to ensure they can keep the trains and tracks running in the years to come.
When we complete the works, we still have the training course for before the operation for different systems like the buildings, like the truck works and the signal and communication systems.
Thousands more Nigerians will be employed to help modernize the Calabar to Lagos line in the coming months. Once completed, more passengers and produce will be able to move safely across Africa's most populous nation.
Somalia in shock. A day after attacks near Mogadishu's airport killed 13 people, it's been revealed that one of the 2 suicide car bombers was a former member of parliament. Salah New Ismail quit the Somali parliament in 2010 after calling the other lawmakers infidels. He joined al-Shabaab in its fight against the central government for control of the country. The militant group claimed responsibility for that attack and identified the former lawmaker. One of the DR Congo's biggest pop stars is headed to court. Congolese Rumba singer Kofi Olomide has been charged with assault and battery. Earlier, the musician had been detained in Kinshasa. Olomide was in Kenya for a concert when he was caught on camera kicking one of his dancers, prompting authorities there to extradite him to the DRC. The 60-year-old has had run-ins with the law before. 4 years ago, he was handed a 3-month suspended sentence for assaulting his producer. Getting ready for Rio, Isabelle Sambou will be carrying Senegal's flag at the Olympics opening ceremony next week, an honor for the 9-time wrestling champion. Sambou will be fighting for gold during the games, but back home she fights every day to win respect in her male-dominated field.
Senegalese wrestler Isabelle Sambou is a force to be reckoned with. 9-time African champion, she's preparing for Rio, where she'll take on the best in the world. But as a sportswoman, she's had to fight off the mat too, against tradition and discrimination.
In any sport, when you're a woman, they bother you. They say it's not good. I've heard it all. I was even told you'll become like a man. No one will marry you because you'll look like a man.
Senegal's Olympic hope has been training in Tiest, in the west of the country, where she follows an intense schedule, jogging every morning, followed by 3 training sessions every day. She's preparing to compete in the 48-kilogram freestyle event at the Games.
She's the most experienced fighter at the Olympics. She's participated in many tournaments, the biggest competitions. She came 5th at the London Olympics, so she meets the criteria to be able to win a medal, perhaps even a gold medal.
Isabel can count on the support of her younger sister, who shares a modest room with her at the wrestling centre in Tiest. But it's her last chance of an Olympic medal. After this year, the athlete plans to become a coach and train other women like her, battling both for gold and respect in a male-dominated sport.
That's the end of this edition. Do stay tuned. There's more news coming up on France 24. Stay with us.